To whom much is given, much is required. Part of that requirement is sharing. Culture is the heartbeat within our lives, and it's at the core of so many things. While we live in a time when we are starving for wisdom, I welcome you to your wisdom retreat at Culture Raises Us. Terry Ross TR, welcome, bro.
Appreciate you.
No, listen, so for the listeners and viewers today, I met Terry probably over 20 years ago through a mutual friend. And he's literally been that individual that always seems, what I say, to be in the right place at the right time with the right people, for sure. And he's had an extensive music background that I'll let him kind of share in depth shortly. But he's worked with the likes of a Sierra, Tori Kelly, Leona Lewis, and LaToya Luckett, to name a few. But again, before he goes into the deep dive on him, Terry, I want to start with the question that we tee up to all of our amazing guests. And so when you hear culture, what does that mean to you?
It means uniqueness, man. Uniqueness and diversity to me. That's what culture means in an art form. You know what I mean? Because there's so many different cultures, so many different, art forms to the culture, the food, the clothing, all of that, is unique and diverse in the many cultures that we have around the world. You know what I mean?
That's it. And I love when you talk about. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. No, I was saying. So that's what when I think of that, I think of that, the diversity and the uniqueness of all the cultures.
Yeah, diversity is a powerful word in that definition. Diversity is a definite, powerful word in that definition. So again, I gave a high level. I want you to go into a little depth of who TR is, my guy Terry, for those who, again, do not have the blessing of knowing you, but share a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, like you said, I've worked with various number of artists. I was born in DC, man, and just I was in DC doing my thing. You know what I'm saying? I was out doing my thing, and I hooked up with a few friends that Ryan Glover and Chris Hicks. They actually came out to Howard to go to school, and Chris's mom and my mom have known each other forever. So I've known Chris all my life, and he came out to Howard, him and Ryan, and we connected, and we just started building and doing some things right along the time that Puff was doing his thing up there, throwing parties, doing shows and stuff like that. So me, Ryan, and Chris, we hooked up. We started doing shows, and then eventually we got to Atlanta and met with Noonie, who was already in Atlanta, doing the music thing. So, from us building up all these relationships, we, decided to go to Atlanta to do a concert, a huge concert, promotion concert down there. And it was very successful. And we hooked up with Noonie, and then we started Noontime. That was it, man. We just got a bunch of really hot producers at first. That was our staple, was the producers. And then we, hooked up with some artists, because once you build a studio, the talent is going to come. People want to be around high producers, right? They want to be around talent. So we built that, and it, just the flow was coming. Everybody was coming. And when we moved to Atlanta, we were already, doing our thing in the streets of DC. So when we moved to Atlanta, we already had cars. We already had jewelry. So it wasn't like we were in the music business.
You had all the things.
We had all the toys, you know what I mean, that people were attracted to. So that made us pretty much like who is these guys? Like, who are these dudes? They ain't in the music industry. They come down here to Atlanta with all this nice stuff, like, you know what I mean? So that kind of drew people to us, and we just started connecting with everybody and meeting people, and then that was it. That was the formula for the success of Noontime was us four individuals with no talent, didn't know anybody, didn't have any musical talents or whatever, but we knew how to push the narrative forward with our artists and our producers and our writers.
Right. So it's definitely not no talent. It's a different talent that you brought to the table, and expertise, and especially with all of you coming together. Yeah, all of you coming together. It was a pretty special thing
Yeah.
to see. And so, as long as I've known you, you've been doing things that I call very disruptive, right? And disrupting the norm in all the right ways, to be honest. And you even speak to it just now when you were breaking down, your early journey in a very humble way, by the way, because you didn't even keep going on the note or the other things. But we gonna touch that.
Yeah.
But starting back to your Noontime days, even of championing, like you said, producers, songwriters, and bringing that magic to the forefront at a time when it was still very artist led, is a thing that I find to be one of the most, as I look at it now, one of the most disruptive things that are happening with our culture to date is what you're now doing, I think, with this Carnegie Hall piece, which I can't tell you enough how excited I am to speak about this for a number of things. But I want to go deep on your Carnegie Hall work because it still, to this day, blows my mind of what you're doing here. And I'll provide some context as to why. I grew up in New York City, right? So I'm a New York City boy. And Carnegie Hall for me has always been something that wasn't welcoming of me. And it felt like a place that I had to assimilate to if I ever even thought of even entering it. So when you talk about cultivators, and that's what we talk about and talk to here on this platform, and the planting of seeds, the seed that you are planting is already changing literally the way in which my daughters can view Carnegie Hall, right? And their ability, more importantly, to enter as their unapologetic selves. So I'm going to need you to please walk us through not only the story of what you're doing there at Carnegie Hall, but how did you even get into the room to make all this possible, bro?
This is very interesting. So back right during the election, um, during the Biden-Harris campaign, right, even before he got elected, a friend of mine called me and was like, "Yo, I need you for some, we want to get celebrities to talk about the election and make sure people come out and vote, blah, blah, blah." So she hooked me up with someone in the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, of course. And there's this guy named Cyrus. So we used to get on these calls and we was trying to figure out how the first 100 days of how Black men and incarcerated men and incarcerated women, how we're going to, bring them back and let them come back into society the right way. And, just
And land.
yeah, just an agenda for that. So we used to get on these Zoom calls, and then one day, he asked for my number on one of the Zoom calls, and I gave it to him. And then he called me on the side note. He was like, "Man, bro," he was like, "I love your energy, bro. I love how you're on these Zoom calls and you're talking about what we need to do, and you know what I mean. You're bringing up these initiatives and things." He was like, "I'm going to need you," and I was like, "What you need me for?" He was like, "I got this Carnegie play," and I was like, "Wait, Carnegie Hall?" He was like, "Yeah." He was like, I'm about to be I'm an ambassador. I'm about to be on the board of Carnegie." And I was like, "Really?" He was like, "And Robert Smith is the chairman." And I was like, "Wow." I said, "I didn't even know that." So we got to talking, and he was like, I wanna introduce you to the people at Carnegie." And I was like,
I'm sorry, let me stop you there. So Robert Smith was the chairman of
he's
Carnegie Hall?
he's the chairman of the board. He's the chairman of
And when did that take place?
probably about a year ago, year and a half ago. Yeah, he's the
Okay, so that was fairly new because that's a big statement in itself.
Yes, huge. So Robert Smith, so he was like, "Man, they want to bring culture over to Carnegie Hall." And he was like, "I've seen you talk, I've heard you." And he said, "I know you're the man for the job. I know you can make this happen." And I said, 1000% I could make it happen. Unequivocally know that I could change the culture over at Carnegie. And he said, "All right." And he said, and I said, I called him back. I said, "Cyrus, this is one thing that," his name is Cyrus, by the way. And
Yep.
I said, "Yo, man, listen, I said, can we make sure that anything, everything we do there is black tie and orchestra? He said, absolutely.
Mm.
All I want.
So you set that standard.
Yes, yes. I said, I like, listen, bro, if we're going to do this, let's do it the right way. Because, you know, Aston, I mean, we used to dress up to go out. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It was, we wanted to. We wanted to show off. You know what I mean? We wanted to, you know, flex or whatever, however you want to call it. You know what I mean? Or we wanted to come.
I remember the award shows. Award shows used to be everything for y'all, man.
Yes. And it was always, everybody wanted to have the drip. You feel me? So
That's right.
I said, yo, man, we gotta do it that way or we can't do it. He was like, man, I'm with you on that. So he introduced me to the people. And, you know, I got to start talking to them and they were, you know, really, really receptive to me and, you know, invited me to the chairman's dinner. And, you know, I took a good friend of mine, you probably know her, Kathy Hughes. Took Kathy Hughes with me to the chairman's dinner at Carnegie
I
Hall.
love how you just dropped that, by the way. That's very TR of you. Please continue.
So yeah, she was my guest that day. Took her there. We went, and this is when I first met Robert. And we were and the mayor was there. The mayor of New York was there, and a bunch of big wigs were there at this chairman's dinner. So I'm in the hallway, and they introduced me to Robert. Clive. Clive is the chairman of Carnegie Hall, and
Mhm.
which Robert is the chairman of the board. Carnegie. So Clive introduced me, and the first thing he said to me was, "Yo, I love what you're doing. Keep doing it." That's the
Mm.
first thing Robert Smith said to me. He said, "I love what you're doing. Keep doing it." Because by that time, we had announced that we were going to do the D Nice concert there. That was the very first event that we had. And I was with your guy, Jaha. We were in the studio. And I was like, and we was with D Nice and my guy, Jason Joshua, mixing engineer. We were mixing a record for D Nice. And I was like, D, would you like to go to be at Carnegie? And he looked at me and was like, what? He was like, man, that's my bucket list. Like, I would love to do
That's right.
I would love to do that at
How about that?
I said, bro, I could make that happen. He's like, man, you can't. I said, bro, watch this. Made it happen. They were excited. Everybody was excited about bringing Club Quarantine to Carnegie. So that was my first event. Event sold out. Ash, when I tell you the electricity, the amount of like black excellence that was in that room that night was
Mhm.
incredible. Everybody was dressed up. Everybody it was electrifying. And the guy at Carnegie, because I was sitting in his booth, he was like, he leaned over to me and said, Terry, he said, man, I've never seen the hall this dope. He said, I've never seen it this many people with with the enthusiasm that I'm seeing right now. So I've never seen that. And I said, I looked back, I leaned over to him and I said, guess what? I said, 95% of people in here have never been to Carnegie.
That part. Like, say that one more time. 95.
Percent of the people that are in here right now have never been to Carnegie.
But this goes back to the point that I just made in the intro about the significance of the disruption of culture that you are leading with this.
Right.
Because for us who have grown up there, this was a never do. We were never to set foot in there, bro.
Never to set. Well, we were, because it was one of the first. I found this out. I did my history lesson. We were, because it was one of the first venues that allowed blacks to come into, like back in the day.
Okay.
With the old artists, you know, I found out Martin Luther King.
Yeah, allowing and creating an atmosphere with two totally different things.
That's
right.
Ridiculous. Yes. Now that's true, right? So they did a lot.
Okay. So because my next question, my question to you is going to be, sorry, my question to you is going to be, because who has there ever been a black headliner of any sort in Carnegie Hall prior to D Nice?
Yes, of course. Jay-Z, Nas, only
Okay.
rappers that ever did it.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yes, they had other artists there, but it wasn't nobody really knew about it like they are fighting. Like
Right.
it's a different energy now. You know what I mean? Jay-Z
Okay.
was there, and I just found out that it wasn't even sold out. Like it wasn't, and the energy wasn't the same as the energy that the two events that we just did. Like I just found that out from people that went to that one and then went to this one. And
Gotcha.
I was
The
like, wow,
context.
Jay and Nas. I said Jay and Nas didn't like. Nah, it wasn't the same. It was not the same. It wasn't the same.
When were those?
That was, I think, 12 or 13 years ago, 14 years ago. I think, remember when Nas and Jay
Sorry.
kind of made up? I think Jay brought him out with him to Carnegie Hall.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So that was it. So moving forward. So then me and Robert kind of, established a relationship, and Clive let me create a council, a cultural council, which we were going to call it the Black Cultural Council. Right? So the cultural council consists of Teddy Riley, Rodney Jerkins, Catherine Bruton, Chris Hicks, and Coach K. So those are my people that I brought in to be like, yo, this is the cultural council. These are the people that are going to
Your advisor, your trusted editors.
my trust enters that I'm going to get to move this, whatever agenda you guys want, we're going to move it forward. I feel confident in the team that I assembled. I call them the super friends. You feel what I'm saying? Like, that's
I love that.
super friends. Like we assembled in super friends. That's what I did. So, they let me be now. So now they've created this council that I'm going to be the chairman of. This is a brand new thing. Like I'm going to be the chairman of this council, right? Which has now not only expanded to, not only been Black music, now it's a global music council, which incorporates Latin and Black and African music and all the music around the world. So I'm going to have African there. I'm going to have Latin artists there. You know what I mean? So it's a global music council now. It's evolved from just the Black Cultural Council to a global now. You say culture, we're bringing culture. Like we're going to have an Afrobeats concert in Carnegie Hall.
Right. And so when you said that culture, because there's a number of things that you said in walking us through this story. Initially, you said you were bringing culture to Carnegie Hall, which is exactly what you're saying. And now I get the context of that. And then you were also being tasked with changing the culture. Yeah. So there's two things here, right? There was already a very distinctive culture that was established in Carnegie Hall. We've kind of teed some of that up. But you're also bringing another level of culture and dimension now to this venue.
Yes. Another level. And it's so funny, Ash, because you know how in the music industry how we function. This last minute, it's, fly by fly night. You know what I mean? It's like,
yep.
Carnegie is a whole nother. They book shows 2 and 3 years out, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So these things have already been booked out. So when I'm coming in now,
that's right.
I'm bringing my music business into it, and they're like, whoa, wait a minute. We can't do a show 5 months out from now. Like, how do we do that? How do we promote it? I was like, listen, this is what you guys have to realize. The people that we're bringing to this venue, because it only holds 2,800, so it's not a huge venue. Right? So I said, the people that we're bringing to the venue now, type of artists that we're bringing, they sell out arenas, they sell out stadiums. You know what I mean? So 2,800 is nothing. I said, their social media is more powerful than anything that than any type of marketing that you're going to ever be able to do. Just them putting out,
Mm.
D-Nice putting out and going live on his IG, immediately ticket sales jumped. Immediately. You know what I mean? So those are the type of things that I'm changing the culture. Like they're pivoting, they're changing the way they, how they operate when it comes to.
And so I'm glad you brought that up, bro, because now you've added another piece of added value that you brought to the table to enhance the value of Carnegie Hall. And you're helping them to exercise a muscle of nimbleness, right? The nimbleness of being able to do something in 5 to 6 months that they never would have fathomed
They don't.
being able to do. You've now brought that level of excellence to this proposition that they are going to now benefit from tremendously across all lines of their business, to be able to say, oh no, we don't have to just do things 2 years out, a year out. We can do it 5 to 6 months out, and here's why.
Here's why. You know what I'm saying? So, and there's some other components that are really exciting me about Carnegie, is which you probably didn't know, and not 90% of our community does know. They're in the community, right? They do shows, they have performances at Sing Sing. Like they take artists to Sing Sing to perform. Yeah, yes, right. And they have these workshops in the neighborhoods for the underprivileged kids, but nobody knows about it because they are not putting the right talent in these spots. You feel what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
what I'm doing is I told them, I'm like, listen, we're going to blow these programs out because I'm going to bring you the best talent, which is going to equate to more people knowing what you guys are doing in the community. Like we did Buster Rhymes with this, my last event with Robert Smith, and it was a financial literacy component to it, which had never been done at Carnegie. There'd never been a financial literacy performance. We talking financial literacy at Carnegie Hall.
I love it. Love it, man.
Like, and Ash, what was so thing, I told Robert, I said, Rob, I said, do you know the EYL guys? He was like, oh, the Earn Your Leisure guys. He was like, yeah. I was like, I want to need you and them. I want to do a financial literacy. He looked at me, he was like, do it. Just get it done. And that was probably right after the D-Nice thing, which was last August. And we did it. We sold out. Rainy night in New York on a Monday night, sold out. People dressed up. I mean, it was electrifying, right? So in saying that, I was with my point I was making was the Buster Rhymes thing and the going back to the other programs they have. So now I'm going to get Buster. I talked to his manager. Now he's going to perform at Sing Sing. They'd never had an artist of the caliber of Buster performing in Sing Sing. You feel what I'm saying?
Disruption. I'd say the culture of disruption is what you stand for. And look, I just want to say for the record, I have not been able to attend either one of these events. And when I tell you, listen to me right now. When I tell you I have the highest level of FOMO every time I saw a post. No, T, I'm telling you, goosebumps every time I saw somebody post something, because I can feel the essence of what this represents in the moment for both events. Both. Like, I mean, you would have thought for the second one, it might have kind of dwindled down a little bit in terms of, all right, they're doing something else there. No, sir. My level of FOMO grew higher. My goosebumps stayed longer. And again, it might just be because of my history of what I'm now seeing and hearing with my eyes and ears, and what's being shifted so significantly in a very impactful, authentic way. So I applaud you and the team for that alone.
So let me go even deeper. Which you're gonna Well, seriously, I'm gonna go even deeper because you're gonna be like, wow. So you know, Ryan has a Greenwood Bank.
Yes, he does. Ryan Glover. We love.
The event. There's never been a black bank that ever sponsored any type of event at Carnegie Hall. Ever.
Come on, man.
History
Come on, man.
Carnegie Hall.
I love that.
How deep is
I
that?
love that.
How deep is that?
I mean, I can.
I mean,
My smile. I'm smiling. My smile is hurting me.
yo, it was plastered everywhere, all over the venue.
Mm. Mm.
You feel me?
Uh,
And I
1,000%. I didn't even know that.
Greenwood, yes, I brought Greenwood in to be one of the major sponsors of Carnegie Hall. So all the events that we do, Greenwood's going to be a part of. You know what I mean? So it's like that's how we're changing the culture.
Mm. But you know what? To be honest, I think that's how you're also changing the culture outside of the walls
Yeah.
of Carnegie,
Mm-hmm.
because you're coming with a collective of everybody bringing their respective expertise, their respective credibility into spaces and changing the way in which these spaces are being perceived, changing the way these spaces are to be represented. And this is a great case study for us to take and say, look what we can do together in an impactful way and share with the world.
And enjoy it. And you know, people are seeing how we can come together and have something very, very successful and very, very you know what I mean? It really is.
Yeah, bro. You know, I look at this as also being something where you're like a bridge builder, right? And as a bridge builder, I think what many people don't realize is that you actually get walked on by both sides, right? And in your work of bridging what you call culturally relevant and diverse music into spaces, walk me through, some of the many hurdles that you have to, persevere through this. Because this doesn't come without a ton of roadblocks, a ton of adversity or trials. But as a bridge builder, you have to know that you're going to get walked on by both sides. So I just want to hear some of those things that you've had to persevere through.
Me, bro, this is my thing. And this is what I've been preaching is like, as black men, man, we have two major flaws. And that is we don't like to share resources and our egos get in the way of a lot of things. You know what I mean? So when you do that, it hurts us all, man. It hurts the entire culture. When you don't want another successful black man in your meeting or another, successful person in your meeting because you feel threatened, that doesn't help. That doesn't move the culture forward. Feel what I'm saying? And we experience that all the time. So with me and my man Cyrus bringing me in and me bringing in all of these other people, Coach and Chris, and they all have access to Robert Smith. You know what I mean? They all have access. I'm not harboring any type of resources. I'm like, listen, bro, you can have my resources because guess what? I know that my value is never going to diminish. And people who feel that their value will diminish will not bring other folks into their situation. Because
That's right.
You feel what I'm saying? So that to me has been the most problematic thing is that we don't share resources, man. We let our egos destroy a lot of relationships, a lot of things. And in other communities, they don't function like that. They don't function how we function.
Nope.
In that capacity. They share resources.
In that capacity.
Each other, but they will do business together. You know what I mean? And they'll get money with each other and they stick together. That to me has been the biggest roadblock is us not being able to bring more people into certain situations that we come. And I'm not the one. I'm not.
Yeah, but well, yeah. So first off, you put it in the sense of, we're all children of God, who've been given these gifts, and what He has for you, no man or anyone can take from you,
Absolutely.
right? And that includes you sharing the gifts that you have and be comfortable with sharing. And I know right? But I think the more we have to spread not only this insight, but I do think for many, they need to see examples of it, right? Because a lot of people say, yeah, people talk about it, they talk about it, but let me see it. Let me see it. And what you're doing is, they could see it through y'all. So I just ask that you as much energy as you put into putting these amazing programs together with this, the Culture Council. I think figuring out a way to ensure that you're sharing the story of how the super friends, right, have come together. Everybody's all amazing in their own way, and they're sharing their own pieces, and they're also receiving other pieces from their respective super friends within this group, and you're all moving together stronger because of it.
And that's it. That's it. I'll give you a perfect example. Like, my guy Lou Tucker.
Lou, I love Lou. I've known Lou for years.
So Lou Tucker, he was the one who actually came up with the financial thing, right? And he was like, "Man, what do you think?" I was like, "Hey, Lou, let me run it up the flagpole." And then I went to Robert, and Robert said, "Cool, let's run it." So in doing that, I introduced Lou to all of the people at Carnegie Hall, and he just started, he developed a relationship. And then one day he just called me and was like, "Bro, do you need to be included on everything?" I'm like, "Bro, no, I don't need to see it. Dude, make it happen."
That's right.
I'm not going to sit here and babysit you and tell you like, "Yo, you got to call me to get to this person or no, man, just make it happen." And
Good for you.
Well, it all came together. But I know some people who wouldn't let someone have their resources or be directly connected with someone.
That's right.
Have conversations without you or Zoom calls without you. You feel what I'm saying? So to me, that was my way. I was like, Lou, man, like, yo, and it came out and it was an amazing event. And, he developed relationships over at Carnegie, but you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna stop him from talking to people at Carnegie. That makes no sense. Because everything has to channel back to me. You feel me?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I love it. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. That, you know what I'm saying? So, but a lot of people I wouldn't have been able to do that, have been able to do that with. You feel me? I wouldn't have been able to do that. Some people are just not built the way they are. You know what I mean? They see an opportunity.
That's right.
To try to take advantage of it. So, in saying that, it's just, man, it's just about the egos and resources. We gotta share.
No, fair.
We gotta share.
Fair. And, I look at, in addition to this, when you talk about sharing and doing all the great work in this space of shifting culture, I know, content is now a big thing for you. And it's such a powerful tool, I think, in shaping and informing many as it relates to culture, to be honest. And I see you're also involved in things like bringing content to the forefront with projects like Freaknik, I think of Hulu, the Allen Iverson biopic. Why is it so important for you, though, to share these stories?
Because one of your other questions that you sent me was the reason why Freaknik was so important to me, is because that changed the way I looked at music and how I looked at the culture of Atlanta and how it made me look differently at music and where I was going to go and the direction that I was going to take. So that project coming back to me was very, very dear to me because that was the first thing that we did. The most major thing we did was do a show of Freaknik. That was our most productive show, and that was the time that shifted our focus from being from doing shows to actually having a record label. You know what I'm saying? So when we came down there, we were doing shows. We weren't talking about doing music or anything. We were just concentrating on doing our little concerts and doing our little shows. And then once we got to Atlanta, it was like, wait a minute, bro. It's black people down here that are really like they moving around. Like it's sexy. Like police don't pull you out your car or like that. And we're like, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, yo, this is a whole different environment for us that we weren't used to. So that shift kind of propelled us to do things on a different level, which in turn, helped us to facilitate all of these artists, producers, songwriters, executives.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like our executive tree is phenomenal. Like people, the Jaha, the Shanti, um, Shakir. You feel what I'm saying? All these people came
Mhm.
from our tree, and they worked closely with us, and it was just amazing to see how we flourished once we got to Atlanta and started, putting our foot in the ground. So that was to answer one of your other questions, like how does Freaknik changed everything for us, and for me in
Mm.
particular.
Love it.
Yeah, for sure.
Love it. So again, you've done so much
And
historically,
I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And so the Allen Iverson, which is
Yes.
was brought to me by a good friend that you probably know, Breon Prescott.
Great. And the irony that he brought that to you is, again, back home in New York, we used to have an amazing Saturday morning run, bro. And we all used to go at it. Something terrible. I missed that run so much. And Bree would be there every week. Gav, Anton, let me tell you something. The buckets were given out and it felt so good. But I'm sorry, I just had to put that out there.
No, that's true. So I mean, a good brother, man, just like he brought it to me because I had started developing relationships in the film world, and he brought it to me, and I was just like, yo, man, I was a part of that. I'm from DC. I'm Georgetown, my favorite college basketball.
Mhm.
I was with Allen because Victor Page was like a son to me, and that was Allen's backcourt mate. I don't know if you remember him.
Wait, hold on. Stop that for 1 second. I had no clue of this part. Do you know I went to college with Victor? He went to UMES before he came over to Georgetown. Do you remember? Well, of course you remember that.
Yeah, that was I raised.
That's so crazy.
I raised Victor, man. Me and Victor
Wow.
we used to listen. This is how me and Victor go. Like we used to, it's because this neighborhood, he had a court and they didn't have any lights. So we would put the car lights on the court, and me and him we would play horse all night. And then Alan would come over and join us, and we go to the, gym. So I used to run with him and Alan all the time. And um I'll tell you a story of me. We went to, remember Run and Shoot, right?
Yeah.
In Atlanta, right? So this is
Yeah.
for me. This is my team at Run and Shoot. Me, Allen Iverson, Stephon Marbury, and the other dude from Syracuse, Wallace.
Oh, John Wallace.
Yes, yes, yes,
John Wallace. So yeah.
yes. Me, him, and another dude from New York. Bro, we went into to Run and Shoot and shut the entire gym down. I used to be so many people on different courts.
Multiple courts.
Yeah. Everybody came to that court, was assembling teams, trying to put together teams, bro. Or we stayed in there all freaking day. From morning to night, bro, we were winning. And it was just so amazing because guess what? I was getting passes from Allen and Stephon. Like they were passing me the ball to shoot because I'm an excellent, incredible shooter. I don't know if you know.
Right.
I just beat the rock. So it was just so.
I love it.
So that's one of my, that's, I mean, dude, Allen Iverson and Stephon Marbury and John Wallace, yeah, we are winning to run and shoot and shut it down. So going back to that, so Breon brought me the Allen thing, so I'm very, I'm close to that, like, you know what I mean? So, when he bought that, I was like, yo, this story needs to be told because nobody really knows the true story of how Allen was wronged, how, the stuff that happened in the bowling alley with him in Virginia and how the governor him, had to pardon him to get out, and how John, you know, took him under his wings and brought him up to Georgetown. His history after that. I mean, and he pretty much he changed the face of the NBA for a long time.
Oh, facts. 1,000%.
Nobody had
1,000%.
Nobody
And
had
I'm so
cornrows. Nobody.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. No, I'm so glad you said the word history.
Yeah, and I think his
History.
story is more
You said history.
culturally relevant than Jordan's story. Like from a cultural standpoint, Allen had more impact than Jordan. You feel me?
Mm.
No, because nobody was doing that. Nobody had tattoos, and they changed the dress code because of him. Remember?
That's right. Wow.
So they made people you'd have to start wearing, button ups and stuff. Like you couldn't wear the street stuff. And Allen was the forefront of that.
Yeah. And so I think this next question, you kind of answered this, but I'd just love for you to be able to, articulate it. It's obvious that it's critical to preserve and grow Black culture for you and talent. And I want to know the role that you see yourself playing within it. And again, I think you've mentioned some, but it'd just be good to hear from you. Like, how critical is it and what role do you play?
For the culture? You say for the...
Yeah, I mean, preserving and growing Black culture.
It's just, like I was thinking, I think it's about respecting the culture, first and foremost, and just being humble about it, man. I just think that in order for it to grow, we have to keep planting the right seeds so the youth and the people that are coming up can actually benefit from the foundation that we're building for them, and let them know that you don't have to have an ego. You don't have to not share resources with your fellow peers. You know what I mean? Like, let's just keep growing this culture that we have, and just keep taking it to the next level, because our culture is the culture of all cultures. There's no other culture that can compare to ours. You know what I mean? Around the ring, you know what I mean? Our culture's constantly exploited, and we have to protect it. We have to protect it and benefit from it.
Benefit. I love that you said that word, because I think, a lot of times we look at benefit and that equates into capital or equity, right? Are there other ways, though, that Black culture could be recognized and celebrated? And if so, are we close to getting that recognition?
I think so, Ash. I really think that we're on the cusp of doing that. You know what I mean? But we have to stay united. We have to stay mainly focused, man, on what we're trying to do and how we're trying to be perceived. You know what I mean? Like, the perception is a little off right now, and I think we need to get it back on track and make sure that we're all trying to do whatever it is to move our culture forward, because it's valuable. It's valuable. There's no other people more valuable than us. Learn.
No, agree.
Learn.
Agree. So, given your music background and the many things, I love asking this question, right? So the opening scene to your life documentary is about to begin. the Terry Ross TR story. What song is playing and why, bro?
Jay-Z, my first song.
Which song?
My first song. You don't know that song?
I don't think I knew this. No.
Come on, come on. My first song, where his talk with where Biggie comes on in the beginning and says, Puff always told me to.
Yes. Gotcha. Sorry. Check.
That song.
Okay, why?
Because it just speaks on like the humbleness and the amount of dedication that you have to make it, to keep going. You know what I mean? And he explains it, and like he goes back to, all the people that helped him and all the people that were there when he was making it. You know what I mean? And it made him who he was. And that's what I want. I want people to look at me like that, like, yo, this guy was somebody who, helped us and moved us forward and, brought resources and brought, everybody's egos down. You know what I mean? So it's like that song to me represents me. It represents me because I
I
feel,
love it.
you know what I mean? He was real humble in that song, and he was just who I am. You feel me?
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, we always close with this question. We use the analogy of farming a lot and planting of seeds, and even you talked about the seeds that came from, the early days of the, rest in peace to Shakir, the Jahaz, Shantays and of the world. And so from a seed standpoint, what are the 3 seeds you'd want to leave with the stewards of culture moving forward? If there were 3 things, 3 seeds that you'd want to plant in them, what would they be?
I said one of them before. Respect, definitely. One of them.
Love that.
I had actually. Can I look at my thing? Because I had these written.
Please do.
I wrote these down. Oh, there's inclusion, respect, and responsibility.
Very powerful.
Those are the 3 C's I want. Inclusion is very important. Respect and responsible. Let's be responsible for everything that we do, and moving our culture forward. We all have to be responsible. So those are the 3. Those are the 3 things, and we have to respect each other. Of course, right?
Terry, man. Yeah, no, I got to tell you, like I said, I was super excited about this conversation for so many reasons, and the work that God is doing through you as a vessel of purpose. I want to applaud you again and thank you for walking everyone through the journey that you're still on and the great work that you're still going to do. And not only as it pertains to Carnegie Hall, but that in itself is monumental. I think this can be used as an amazing case study, an example for many to look at how powerful we can be as a collective and an intentionally to shift and shape what this looks like moving forward. And for that, I love and I thank you. Real talk.
And can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
There's one thing I want to tell you, how powerful this Carnegie Hall play. So right after D Nice did Carnegie, he did the Kennedy Center.
Yes. So it's infectious.
Jeezy just did the Atlanta Orchestra in it.
That's right. That's right. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about the ripple effect.
Absolutely. 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 So now Jeezy wants to do Carnegie. D Nice is coming back to Carnegie this year, sometime in July. I don't know what date, but he's coming back. So I mean, it's a ripple effect. We have the 50th anniversary of hip hop coming up at Carnegie, with Kadar and Peter.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm not missing that one. FOMO not happening in the building.
You know what I mean?
In the building.
People are
And
calling me.
and this is the infectious nature of what you're doing.
You have no idea how many people calling me saying, I want to touch that stage. I want to touch that stage. So
Mm.
there you go. So like I said, the Kennedy Center called, now Atlanta Orchestra. Everybody's trying to do what we started, what we do, what we're doing.
You're shifting the culture, bro. And for that, I applaud you, bro. Thank you, man.
Bro, you have to be there. If you don't come,
No,
really,
done.
really, I'm gonna be hurt actually if you don't come.
Hold up. Say less. Overstood. In the building. Thank you again, bro.
You got a personal invite.
No, I know. I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Bring your daughters too.
That's right. You know what? There you go. That is the handing of the baton, the changing of guard. I'm sorry?
They never been, right?
No.
Okay. All right, then bring your daughters, man. Bring your daughters.
Say less. I love you, bro. Thank you, man.
All right,